you've decided to select an instructional ebook, if you go to our web page, the W200 web page, and go to Assignments and Instructional Project, you can click here on Instructional ebook and it'll take you directly down to where the instructional ebook is. And again, before you start the ebook project, you should have a particular standard that you want to work with, and you should have talked with your instructor and had it approved that you're going to do an ebook with that particular standard, because certain standards are better reflected in ebooks, some are better for videos, and some are better for websites. So your instructor can help you figure out which one is probably the best fit for you. So the first step for an ebook is that you have to fill out the lesson plan. So if you go to the website and click on the template, here's the particular template. And the first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to file, save a copy, because you'll just have access to the lesson plan. So if you go to File, Make a Copy, and again, make sure that you're logged into drive.google.com with your EDUC Gmail account. Don't use your Indiana email account because that can cause a lot of problems for you. So again, go to File, Make a Copy, and we're going to rename this as my last name and first name and instructional ebook project. And I'm going to say 9027, which is Mondays at 11:15. Okay. So here is now my copy, and the first thing I want to make sure that I do is I go to Share, and I'm going to get the shareable link, and I'm going to change this to anyone with the link can edit. And then you can copy that link, and once you have that link copied, you can come back over to Canvas Assignments. So if you go into Canvas and click on Assignments, this should appear for you. I don't have the student view, so I can't show you the student view. But if you scroll down, you should have the ebook deliverable lesson plan, and you should be able to submit the link that way. Okay. So here I am. So this is the template. So here I am. And once I'm done and I've kind of read all the directions, I can delete anything that's in red. All right. So I start by putting in my name and my section number, and then I need to pick my particular standard. So the link to the standards are right here, that www.doe.in.gov/standards. You can also search for Indiana standards, and I'm going to highlight a standard that I'd like to use. And I think I'm going to identify major British and American leaders in the American Revolutionary War and describe their significance and key events. So if I come back here, I can paste my standard in here and then start by coming up with my learning objectives. You should always start with the students will be able to, and then you want to be specific about describing the objectives. So you don't want to use a verb like understand, because it's difficult to measure understanding. You don't want to say the students will learn, because that's difficult to measure as well. So it would be something like the students will be able to list British and American leaders of the American Revolutionary War. Feel free to use the words from particular standards. Sometimes that helps. And then the students will be able to describe the significance of major British and key events during the American Revolutionary War. Okay, so that's my example there for learning objectives. And next, you want to say, what are the students' tasks going to be? In other words, what are they going to do when they go through the ebook? What kind of questions will you have for them? How will they be engaged? So the student tasks here are going to be along the lines of students will be able to read an introduction to various leaders. Maybe they might also answer some questions regarding the leaders. Maybe you'll have application questions so that they'll have to think about, how this war, how the war kind of impacted them, or how their leaders kind of impacted the Revolutionary War. And then we want a basic outline of your book. So this could be basically like a table of contents. And the ebook needs to be at least 10 pages to receive a passing grade. So you might do something like this, like page 1. And page 1 might have a overview of the key events in the Revolutionary War. And maybe then you would list those key events. 1, 2, 3, 4. Obviously, you would actually list those key events. And then you would say British major leaders. And then you would put, whoever those were. And then American major leaders. And then maybe, you talk about other things like describing impact, whatever it looks like. So maybe for these particular individuals, you say key event 1, key event 2, whatever they did and however they impacted it. The next thing is identifying the various resources that you're planning on using. So if I want to pick out, let's see, British leaders in the Revolutionary War. So it has like Revolutionary War for kids. And what we've done is, I'm just picking this. This is obviously a terrible link. This one looks like it might be okay. So here's some good information about different leaders. Okay, so obviously Peggy Shippen, who was a Tory, wife of Benedict Arnold. So if you're going to include information about her, the nice part is we've also included a readable. So if you go to read-able.com, there's a readability test tool, so you can actually copy and paste the link in here, and you can calculate the readability, and it will come out and tell you, okay, so this should be easily understood, grade level about -8. So it should be easily understood by -2 to -3. So I think this means that it's 3rd grade. So this should be an appropriate reading for students that are in the 3rd grade. So then when you come back here, if this is a good resource, you can put your link here. You can talk about why it's a good resource and then what reading level it is at. Okay, so that's the basic outline for your ebook lesson plan. And again, when you're done with it, you just come here, copy your link, and then save it in Canvas assignments. Okay, so please don't hesitate to ask your instructor for any kind of question. They will no doubt answer you back in just a few hours or so.